Hi, I'm John Milton Lawrence, founder of Speak or Get Benched. I'm not just a founder, but I'm also a client. I'm just everyday people, and I help everyday people like yourself to be what you want to be, do what you want to do, and have what you want to have, so that you find the happiness, health, and wealth that you deserve. I teach you how to do your inside work using positive self-image psychology. Have you ever tried to work more to earn more so that you could change your finances to give your family a better life? Then what happens? Well, you feel a lot like Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man when he said, "I'll be back." The host of the show says, "Only in a rerun." Does your life seem like one big rerun? Get up, go to work, get your paycheck, pay your bills, mortgage, rent, food, gas for your car. Then you do it all over again, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, over and over again. So boring, so monotonous, so routine. You start to feel like that hamster on that never-ending wheel to nowhere. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. I've had my fair share of struggles at times, and it seemed like I had someone else's also. Pretty much my whole life has been like a yo-yo, up, down, with more downs than I care remember. Here's my story. I met my wife. We were both 17 years old. It was love at first sight for her. Shortly after, we had our first child, and at that point, we both realized how unprepared we were to become parents, to care for someone else, when we could barely even care for ourselves. But we did the best we could with what we had. I worked numerous dead-end jobs with barely a whimper of success, though I did get a job that I liked as a security guard in the New York Public Library. And that started my lifelong love affair with reading. But the struggle went on. I was so broke that we had to move in with my brother-in-law in his attic in Queens, New York. Somehow, I ended up with a copy of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And I can remember it like it was yesterday because it was shortly before the birth of our second child. There was one technique in that book that really caught my attention because it didn't seem too hard to do, and it was about transmuting your thoughts. I felt as though I had some kind of spiritual rebirth. It was as though a light had been turned on in the darkness of my mind. Having one child and another on the way really put a fire beneath me. It showed me that when you love someone like your own flesh and blood, it really makes you want to do better, to be better. It's a great motive and motivator, and it's called love. About 45 days in, I did something I'd never done before, and that was controlling and directing my thoughts. Whenever a negative thought came into my mind, I transmuted it right back to a positive one by simply changing my mind to think what I wanted to think. You see, choice is a function of our awareness. What I wanted was a better paying job to care for my family. I didn't know what kind of job, but a higher paying anything was better than what I had. Let's fast forward 45 days. I left the job at the library for yet another dead-end job at a stationery store. On my first day, as soon as I arrived at the store, the boss approached me. Before anything else, he said, my job was to sweep the front of the store. Now, I was not above sweeping the floor, but it was the way that he told me, the tone. I wasn't a dog. I was young and full of vim and vinegar and almost lost it, but I maintained my self-control. As the day went on, I was thinking, this is just not working for me. What is it? What am I doing wrong? But I remember reading something that the late, great Harry Houdini said. He said, just when you start to give up, the magic begins to work. As soon as I got home, my wife approached me excitedly telling me about this girl she met who was demonstrating this product at the Woolworths department store down on Main Street. She asked her if she wanted a job. My wife told her she could never speak in front of a crowd of people like that, but she knew someone who could, and that someone was me. I got the job, and it was paying $300 cash a week. Now, in 1975, that was decent money. It helped to change my life, and it was my real first taste of financial success. So I know that you can't change things from the outside. You must do your inside work. I learned through trial and error that you're not going to have success on a job until, first of all, success happens in your mind. You're not going to have success in the world until, first of all, success happens in your mind. I developed a close relationship with the owner, who was a multi-millionaire who at one time was even engaged to the heiress to the Coca-Cola fortune. Before long, me and my wife and 2 kids were living in a mansion owned by a friend of my boss in upstate New York. The mansion had 21 rooms and a lake in the back. Positive self-image psychology. It does work. Now don't take my word, but if you could ask my baby brother, comedian Martin Lawrence, he would concur, because I made it a point to share the lessons of discipline and willpower with my younger brothers. And Martin, he succeeded magnificently. Now let me say this. I have such a love and respect for the teachers out there, because they are fighting an uphill battle with this old, antiquated education system that pushes tons and tons of useless general knowledge on students. And if that wasn't bad enough, this system was set up for the industrial age. This is the new age, the information age. The student should be taught that real education comes from within. After all, the word education is taken from the Latin word educo, meaning to induce or to bring out from within. Would you say a man like the great inventor Thomas Edison was uneducated, even though he only had 3 months of formal education? I don't think so. It's well past time to change the old guard for a new one, and to put them on notice that there's a new sheriff in town. I am a teacher as well as a practitioner of positive self-image psychology. I teach you through a simple 5-step formula how to till the field of your mind through the very same principles that change my life as well as the lives of others. You see, just like our old education system, it's your old habits that do nothing but keep you on that hamster wheel to nowhere. These old habits are called paradigms. In my book, The Question is the Answer, I show you how your paradigms are formed from a very early age, and depending on what they are, is the difference between winning and not winning in the game of life. We literally become slaves to our habits, good or bad. I show you how your paradigms are formed through the repetition of information, and how your paradigms are changed through the repetition of information. Speak or get benched simply means to tell or speak the right thing to your mind, or your own thoughts will bench you and have you sitting on the sidelines of life. It's universal law. We are not punished for our thoughts, but by them. My formula is simple and easy to remember. It's called the ABCYT, and it's a 5-part strategy that simply means always be changing your thoughts from negative to positive. It couldn't be any easier. Now let me break it down to make it a little easier to digest this bit of food for thought. The first step is to constantly, without cease, be awake and aware of what you're thinking, of your thoughts. What does your inner self-talk sound like? What are you thinking? Be active in consciously controlling your thoughts. It requires that you exercise both willpower and imagination, but it's done by successful people all the time. Changing any and all negative thoughts from negative to positive by simply changing your mind. It's called transmuting your thoughts. This is real thinking in your community of self. Why, who, what, where, why, how. How to constantly run your own race. Think your own thoughts, not the thoughts that are forced on you through advertising. Mass mind, viral thinking. Make absolutely sure your thoughts are your own. Remember that your thoughts produce after their time. To transform your life, you must first transform your thoughts. The good book says, be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now I need your undivided attention because I'm going to share some very common mistakes that will sink you even before you get started. One very common mistake I see are people who think they are actually thinking when what they are doing is receiving thoughts from the mass mind and viral thinking of others. All of your paradigms or habits are not your own. They were impressed upon you by others when you were very young and impressionable. And that is why the majority of people never escape poverty. They are just repeating what they grew up with. You must clear out these old thoughts that are holding you back and replace them with newer, more positive, purpose-driven, goal-orientated thoughts. Lastly, you need to really open up your mind and your ears because I've given you a lot to digest. So don't even try to digest it right now. Only thing you need to do, and the very first thing you need to do, is go out and purchase a copy of Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Because this will start the process of conditioning your mind for success and prosperity. You will never get rich thinking like a poor person. Thank you for listening, and Godspeed.